Hello and welcome everyone to the Friday, April 19th edition of the Contributor Comms team meeting. I'm your host, Caslin Fields. And a reminder that we do operate under a code of conduct, which essentially says to be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees and generally be excellent to each other. We have adopted a process here where we introduce ourselves at the beginning of each call. It's totally optional. But I will go ahead and kick things off there. I'm Caslin Fields, and I am a co-lead of this sub-project and also a co-chair of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience, which this sub-project is a part of. If anyone else would like to go, feel free.
Yeah, I can go. I'm Fred, and I'm the blogging lead in this team, and also a member of the Kubernetes release team for 1.30 that just got out, and that's it. He, him.
Yes, she, her. If anyone else would like to go, feel free.
Okay, I can go.
Please do.
Yeah, everyone, I'm Sandup, and I happen to meet Castling at the recent KubeCon in Europe, and I want to get started with contributing to open source, and she said that comp would be a great way, and so here I am. Nice to meet you all.
Welcome. So excited to have you.
Yeah.
Anyone else would like to introduce themselves?
I could go next. Hi everyone, my name is Arvind. I'm a developer and a student from India and relatively new to ContribEx, but here I am happy to help out. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm going to go. I'm Tim Bannister, SF Tim on GitHub. I am mainly a contributor to SIG Docs, where I'm a tech lead. He, him, they, them. Hello.
Excited to have you. I don't think we've ever had you on this call, the legendary Tim Bannister of so many GitHub PRs. If anyone else would like to introduce themselves, you're welcome to now. Ooh. We will move on then. Another thing for the beginning of the meeting, if anyone would be up for taking notes, we would appreciate that. It's a volunteer thing that we ask for each time. So would anyone like to volunteer this time to take notes today? Tim, thanks. I feel like I already give you too much work, but I appreciate it. Oh, apparently that is bolded. Should fix that in the template.
Like, I'm here anyway.
Appreciate it. All right. So with that, I think we will dive into our agenda, starting off with any new items. I've been out the last week or so, so I may have missed some things. Are there any new items that we want to discuss? Any work that folks have asked for in Slack or anything like that? I guess I could add, we did post on social media about the release, which happened this week. Yay, congratulations to the 1.30 release team, such as Frederico. Yeah, so we sent out social media posts on Twitter, Mastodon, and LinkedIn, as is our usual. Any other new items folks want to call out? Does anyone know if there are more blog posts expected for the 1.30 release? Because there were only 2 this time so far. There was the sneak peek, and then there's the release is out now post. Tim.
Hello. Hey, I'm an editor for the Kubernetes blog. Yes, there are 4 scheduled PRs, which is quite a small number.
Yeah, that's
two
quite small.
two from SIG Auth. So there's an auth N and an auth Z. One, I think, about validating admission policy. You can, if you preview, they've merged. So if you preview the website, which if you go and download and build the website on your computer, they will be showing because when you preview the website locally, the future dated PRs are visible. If you publish the website, no, it only publishes the PR, the articles that are already out there. So you don't see future ones on the live website. That's right. I might do that now during the call and just come back and tell you what's scheduled.
Yeah, sounds lovely. We do have automation to pick up blog posts when they are posted. So we will automatically put out social media about those blog posts, but I think it's good to know, especially for release info, what's coming. Yes, question.
Yes, I have one question. So when you're saying that social media post about you, Kubernetes release, so what does it actually mean, Kathleen? You mean as a
Yes.
group we have to do social media posts?
Yeah, I
Like
should
to
kind of
amplify?
explain the group a little bit. I was just
Uh,
realizing that. So here in the contributor comms team, our primary goal is to enable communication among the contributor community and also to help with communications externally about the awesome work that contributors are doing. So releases are, of course, an exciting time where we have an opportunity to talk about the awesome work that contributors have been doing. So I mentioned that we do have automation that will pick up any blog posts that are released to Kubernetes.io or to Kates.dev, which is the contributor website. So we would have automatically done social media posts, but Kat, the release lead for 1.30, Uwu Bernettes, she came in to our Slack and asked us to create some social media posts about the release on Wednesday when it happened. So we created some.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
So Kathleen, so like we can retweet those posts.
Yes. So we've tried a variety of different processes over time. um so we at one point had a process where folks could create a PR on GitHub and we would automatically post to Twitter whatever they had PR'd into a specific repo. There were some issues with that. You couldn't schedule posts, which is often something that we want to do. And people didn't really use the process very much. We also do technically have a process where folks could create an issue where they request some social media coverage and they can tell us a little bit about what they want it to be about, if they want us to write it, if there are specific platforms they want it to go out on, those kinds of things. But people rarely use that either. Honestly, people most of the time just ping us in Slack and let us know what they want if they want something. And aside from that, it's just kind of us keeping an eye on what's going on in the project and trying to get ahead of things that need to be communicated. A lot of just trying to figure it out. That is a lot of open source contribution in general. And do the blog posts get posted automatically on LinkedIn as well? Sandipan asked. I that is a good question. I think that was a question for a bit, whether we had that automation in place. Do you know, Tim? You have a hand up, so must be something else.
It's a different thing. Sorry.
All good. I would have been surprised if you knew. I'll check with Chris on that. If somebody wants to check the Twitter account real quick, you could probably or the LinkedIn account real quick, you could probably tell. But go ahead with your question, Tim. I'll look that up while we sit here.
Yeah. So the adding asking us on Slack thing. I wonder if there's like a chat ops slash GPT slash language model thing where we could automate some of the human side of that to make your life easier, Kathleen, other people.
That is an interesting proposal that we had not discussed yet, I don't think. The idea of using AI to help write, I guess, social media posts. Is that what you were saying?
Not just the authoring, but just like, someone says, hey, can I get a social media post? And it's like, hey, I'm a bot. It looks like you want to, write a social media post.
Yeah.
I look like a paperclip. Would you like some help with that? That kind of thing.
Also, yes, it does look like we have automation set up. Oh no, that was me automatically or like manually, not
I,
the automatic post.
I think that the idea has merits. Although looking looking backwards, I can't remember as having a very large number of actual requests, right? I mean, if it's something that if it's a kind of request that people ask us once every 2 months or something, I guess that the benefits of automating it are not as urgent as if it becomes something a bit more frequent. And maybe we should do steps to get that frequency a bit higher. But I don't see it today as something that we have. But maybe I mean, open to discussion, obviously.
Yeah, we'd have to look into what it would take to create a bot like that in Slack and see if the Slack moderators would be up for that kind of thing. I would bet that there will be not really a fight about it, but but a discussion about it. I'm sure it would take a bit to figure out if we're okay with that and what the process around it would look like. But it might be worth pursuing. I see a hand up. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So everyone, I just wanted to say something that I'm a person with hearing impairment, and everything that you are speaking, I'm following by reading the captions. So the captions are pretty accurate, and yeah, so the captions are pretty accurate. But when Federico was speaking, the captions were not in English. I don't know, it was in some another language. So he was talking in English, or what happened? I couldn't understand.
I'll speak slower, I think. Sorry for that.
Did that work?
No, it comes in a different language. I don't know what
How
that.
strange. Maybe you have a
Maybe
setting.
I'm speaking Klingon and I don't know about it. But
Maybe
He said
it is
maybe.
because Federico is from a different region.
Yeah, maybe it's set
So maybe
automatically.
Zoom is picking the region and then translating it into local words.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
My Zoom is likely picking up my Portuguese locale setting.
Okay. So Portuguese setting. Okay.
Yeah, and even though I'm speaking English, it's likely trying to interpret what I'm saying as Portuguese.
So this line that you spoke right now, that line is coming in English.
Oh,
Right now, what
interesting.
you spoke, yeah, what you said is that you have a Portuguese setting, but when you are trying to speak in English, the Zoom is converting. So this time it worked correctly in English, but before that, everything you said was in Portuguese.
Okay. That is good to know about. We should watch
I'll
out for
try
that.
to join using the desktop client, which is in English, but I can't right now because I have to get into my car in 10 minutes. So
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much.
you're welcome.
Cool. And please let us know either in chat or by unmuting when something like that is happening if we're not catching it so that we can help communicate. We care a lot about communication here. So excited to have an opportunity to find ways to communicate better. Thank you for letting us know.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Perfect.
In my desktop client, when Federico is speaking, I actually just turned on the captions, so it's perfect. It's in English for everybody who is speaking.
I wonder if I can turn on. How does one turn on captions? Oh, no. Oh, yay. Okay, I just turned on my own caption, so hopefully I can catch that as well. No. I've
Yeah,
been curious
I'll do
about
the
Zoom
same.
captions. This is fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's continue. We were talking about social media automation. So I think that's something for us to continue looking into. Maybe we can bring that up again next week and maybe talk with the Slack moderators about that. I'm going to put a note on my list to talk to the Slack mods about that, just to kind of get their take on it. Slack mod. Thank you for bringing that up, Tim. Interesting idea. Any other discussion on that idea or any other new items that folks want to discuss before we move into updates? Well, I think we can move on to updates then. Was there a question? Okay. Moving into updates, Sriram added an update for us. He wasn't sure if he would be able to join today. Looks like he's not on. So Sriram's update is that he hasn't heard back from Tabitha and Ian. He's planning to do a SIG security spotlight blog. If you're new to the group, always good to review this project. It is an evergreen project, so it's always available pretty much, where we have our attendees, our members of this group interview chairs or leads of other special interest groups within the Kubernetes project. And then they write a blog post about what they learned about that special interest group. So Sriram is working on one for SIG security, but he's still working on, I don't think he sent questions. Oh no, he did share a doc with them. So he probably has written out questions for them in a document, shared that doc with the co-chairs of SIG Security, and he's waiting for their responses. This is how we recommend going about the interview process, because if you do it in a doc asynchronously, then you already have all of your answers in text format, and it's a lot easier to convert that than to a blog. We have had folks do verbal, like Zoom interviews before, but we find it generally to be harder to get to the end blog post. It's a lot easier generally when folks do it using a doc. And he said that he'll remind them to answer those questions, and he wanted to know if myself or Chris, we are the co-leads of this sub-project, need to be added to the doc as well, which we don't need to be, unless he wants our review on it. Cool. Any questions, comments about the SIG Security Spotlight blog? If not, then the next item is SIG architecture. We did a blog post on that recently. Who owned that one again? This is one of Frederico's. He's probably on his way to the car, but thank you, Frederico.
No, I'm here. I'm here still.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Cool. So thank you for getting that blog post published. Is that that's one of the series,
Of
right?
the series, yes.
Right. And you still have 2 left?
2 left. I have
Nice.
updated the issue with the last status, and there are 2 left, plus an optional final one to wrap it all together with the SIG architecture shares. But that's not part of the initial tally, so let's keep it at 2.
All right, sounds good. And that takes us through one of our updates in the board as well, which we will get to in a moment. So thank you and congratulations on getting that published. Looking forward to the next ones. Do you want to go ahead and give any other updates on those other 2 pieces while we're talking about it?
Yeah, sure. So one of them will be based on a live interview, and I haven't yet come with a proposal for the slots. But and the other one, I've just pinged the, the responsible again. I already have the questions. Well, I have the questions for all of them, but this one I just need them to be there in writing. I don't have any feedback, but I've asked again this week so that we can restart the process.
Sounds good. All right. Looking forward to those. And if there are no other questions about SIG architecture.
I have a
Oh, yes,
basically.
please
So
go ahead.
the blog we are doing for the budget for the SIG Gates Infra one, are we considering that too in Spotlight?
Oh, the budget one. I forgot about that. We need to talk about that more. I think
I also kind of forgot about that. I just remembered it.
yeah. We could call it a spotlight. Either way, I mean it'll follow our regular blogging process. It's not specifically about a SIG, but it is about an interesting topic in the community. So for context, for folks who don't have it, we are planning to do a blog post about the budget of the project. There's someone who, I can't remember right now, but there's someone who posts regularly in Slack the status of where we are on using our budget for the year. Because we've had a few times recently where we have very nearly run out of budget. And if we run out of budget, then work on the project will have to stop, and that would be a very bad thing. So keeping an eye on the budget is really important to the health of the project. And I think understanding that and helping more people understand how we work with our budget will be really cool. So we're working on a blog post to help folks understand that. One could call it a part of the SIG Spotlight. I think really it's separate, but it follows basically the same processes. So doesn't really matter if you think of it as a SIG Spotlight or not. You can think of it either way.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong. When we are talking about the budget, we are only talking about the budget for the infrastructure, not the whole Kubernetes, right?
What else is there? I guess you could argue that. Yeah, our budget is primarily used for infrastructure, for things like handling our buffer account. That's paid for by the CNCF. So one could argue that that is indeed a separate budget.
Apart from the names Chris mentioned last time, I am also thinking to interview Kate's infra chairs for this. Like, if there are 6 years of Kate's infra, they probably know many things about how they will going to manage the budget, because I think it's also under the SIG Kate's infra to manage its budget, like it's a SIG for infrastructure.
Which does make it feel a lot like a SIG Spotlight. The focus of it
Yeah,
won't be the SIG itself, but like a sub-project, which there is precedent for in the SIG Spotlight series. So would be fair.
and also in the book club article, which isn't actually even a SIG, right?
That's true. It's a group related to Kubernetes.
Yeah.
Our definition of SIG Spotlights is pretty flexible. SIG infrastructure.
So SIG Kate's infrastructure is the name there.
Is that what it is?
The SIG has Kate's in its actual title, which is unusual. But there you are. It does.
Fun fact. I'd love to do a blog of like Kubernetes community fun facts sometime.
I think so. The budget is also. I'm just going to start talking, even though I had my hand up for something else. I think steering committee is kind of like the budget holder, but yeah, we are mostly spending other people's money because we are spending credits that we get from cloud providers like Amazon Web Services and Google. And yeah, like Kaslin said, nearly all of our other spending is like we ask the CNCF to spend $10 on our behalf on pins or something, and they do that.
Yep. Thank you. Well put. And I see a hand up. Sandeep?
Yes, Kaslin. So I think I just had a small suggestion. I agree with you that I mean the async interviews, like we send them the questions and they reply us over email or Slack is the best way because it is text based. I totally agree. But if somebody is doing live interview, then there is an option like there is this transcript. There is, if you go to the Zoom, there is also an option to see the view for your transcript. So the full transcript is there and then you can save the transcript. So basically even the live interview has the text and then you can always read the transcript later whenever you are free.
That is a good point. I think the last time that we had someone do a live interview for a SIG Spotlight, Zoom may not have had that ability because it's been a few
No.
years. But
Actually, I can answer that. I have worked as a transcript editor in Data on Kubernetes community. We basically back then convert videos into blog posts, and we use the same method for it. And it's hell lot of time consuming because if we are not using paid tools, the transcript which actually comes out, it is like we need to edit almost all the lines. It's like writing the transcript on your own. So if we are not using paid tools, it is a lot of headache. Plus, if we are getting the transcript too, like if we assume that the transcript which we got is actually of a good quality, then also like simple human errors like fumbling during speaking and like taking a pause, we need to remove all that in the article. So that would be a very time consuming process. So what we usually do, we take a Google Doc and we share it over to the, like if we are talking about a normal spotlight, we share it over to the chairs and they fill it up. Now what left to do is if there is some grammar error, we need to correct that and we need to just look at the formatting. So it is quite easy task to do. This is basically why we do not prefer video interviewing.
Makes sense. Totally agree.
awesome. And Tim has a physical hand up.
I have a request on like with my blog editing and blog editorial thing, and I like to capture people's sort of authentic voice and tone. So if someone makes a grammar error and it's obviously wrong, or they're about to say something in the future and then they flurble, oh, hang on, sorry, correct it and talk about something in the future and go back, fine, take that out. But if someone just uses English a bit wrong because maybe that's how they spoke English and, you know, I'm making some grammar error mistake because whatever, leave it in if it's like capturing them. I think I would say, you know, there's a balance between capturing the real person and helping the reader. And I don't want to take out people's personality, you know? So I think quite light editing on SIG Spotlights. You can run it past them and say, are you happy with this transcript? And if they're like, oh gosh, I wish I hadn't said flurble, can you take that out? Like, fine, like that's on them. But if they're happy with it, capture them as they are. Because I want to capture people's personality and for things to be real. And I want to, you know, that's the steer I want people to have in this SIG as well. Like, let's capture the real contributors.
That's a very good point. That's because when we actually meet the person in real, at that time we may be able to correlate.
Yes. I do love making sure that we have people's authentic voice as well. So that is an excellent consideration to bring up. Thank you, Tim. Love it. I love the work that our group does on these SIG spotlights. It's always a joy to be a part of.
I have
Any
a
other
doubt,
questions?
if we if in future sometime we are going to do video video interviewing someone, we can also convert it into a podcast and upload it on the Kate's channel.
Yeah, this
If
is
I
something
don't know the process, but if we can do that.
this is something that we've discussed to some degree. It comes up periodically. Should we have a podcast? Should we be doing more video? Should we be doing those kinds of things? In myself and Chris's experience doing podcasts and videos on any kind of consistent basis is really hard because it can be surprising how much work it can add if we want to try to edit those videos or edit the audio and what venues what uh platforms are we going to use to distribute that? Do we need new ones? Because if it's a podcast, then we might want to put it on like Spotify and tools like that. Putting recorded interviews on YouTube is definitely something that we could do, but I don't think we want to make it a matter of process. I don't want to make people always do live interviews because a lot of times that doesn't work for the co-chairs that you're interviewing because they can be really busy or they might be in a different time zone, or you might just prefer the method of using a doc. If doing live interviews works well for someone, absolutely go for it. But I don't think we should make it a matter of process, which would make any kind of like YouTube series or something inconsistent. So I think probably not something that we would make into a process, but always worth discussing. Cool. Any other questions, comments on our updates and big wins section about SIG Spotlight blogs or anything like that? If not, then we'll move into the board. We have a board on GitHub where we track a lot of our work, and we'll go through the items there, unless folks have more questions.
I have a question
All right.
about note taking for the board. Am I like now
Yes.
this isn't Trello, the GitHub board updating person?
No. Thank you for asking. This is a great point for folks who come in new and aren't familiar with our process. So in the board, which I have up here somewhere here, I think you have to be a member of the contributor comms team on GitHub in order to have access to it. You can
So
see if you have access to it.
you just need to be the Kubernetes org member in
You just need to be an
K2
org member. Okay. So if you wanted to do that, you're welcome. Sometimes as we go through the board, we find things that we want to have a note about in the actual notes. So we'll go back and add that into the notes. So that I think would be your main task as note taker in the board section. But if you would also like to help us move things, you're welcome to. That's not very helpful, is it? We should probably pick something. I think I'll handle moving things as we go through the board. But if there's a note to be taken, please take that. Let's try that. Appreciate the opportunity to try to solidify processes. Cool. So with that, I think we're ready to move into the board. Any other questions? Cool. Let's do it. So there is only one item in our ready for review section, which is the spotlight on SIG node. Arpit, this is yours, right?
Yep. So
Anything?
Federico actually reviewed the final draft and suggested some edits. I actually made the edits and it's again ready to review.
Awesome.
Yes. I'll open up the PR shortly. It's done, and that's actually quite quite extensive even for a spotlight one with very interesting content. So I will be happy to see it published, obviously. Well, as with everything else, but just mentioning that this one has some additional level of detail, which is very interesting.
Awesome. I'm excited to read through it. So the status is that Frederico has reviewed the draft.
Yes, and I mean, small edits will still be made in terms of formatting for the markdown, etc. But in terms of the actual content, it's good to undergo the next stage, which is the PR discussion in contributor side.
Awesome. So that PR will be going in soon, I guess?
Yes, yes, couple of days. So by next week, it will already be there, certainly.
We thank you in advance, Tim, for your reviews on that PR. Awesome. So I updated the comment there, which I guess is a note-taking task, and I'll have to think about this. But I will continue this way for today. Cool. So are we good
If
on
I'm not
SIG
wrong,
node?
SIG node takes almost 6 months to complete, right?
It technically started in May of last year, so it's been almost a year. But
Okay.
you picked it up well, theoretically it transferred to you in July, but then you didn't actually pick it up until like September-ish, maybe. You already started the questions in August, yeah. So it's been like a year. This is common, by the way, for SIG spotlights. They sometimes take just a couple of weeks and sometimes they can take a whole year. And either way is perfectly fine as long as you're okay driving it to completion. We appreciate the amount of time and work that these can take. And yeah. Any other questions, comments that you want to add, Arpit, about the SIG Node Spotlight? It sounds like it's going to be an exciting one. I look forward to reading it.
No, like for me, if you ask me, according to me, I actually asked very basic questions. So I am just a little bit of like how I can make this blog some more detail. So I asked the co-chairs itself, like, what do you folks want to add so that we can make this interesting. So they actually recommended some changes and they actually added some questions of their own. And then I added some questions of my own. So that's how it's like become interesting.
Yay! I love to hear it. One benefit of
Also,
these.
the
Go ahead.
you can continue.
I was just saying one benefit of these is having a new outsider's perspective on the SIG, because the folks reading
Yes.
your blog post are going to be people who don't know the SIG either. So if you're asking from a place of I don't know what this is, that is a-okay.
Also, like if I take that video conferencing thing on this blog, on like for Signode, it is not possible because all the sectors, what they did, they took the doc and they filled it up like in 6 to 8 weeks. I'm checking, it's like the half doc is filled by now, and then for after a couple of weeks, the whole doc is filled. And then also we added some questions in backforth. So if you are interviewing in such a style, then I don't think video conferencing is a good idea because for video conferencing you need to arrange all the folks at one place at the same time. So like the questions what I had prepared, that only can be answered by them at that time. So either we basically I'm disturbing them again, like I am asking for their time again to do it, and I don't think that would be possible again and again, like considering how busy people are. So this
Appreciate
is
that
one take I.
perspective. Yeah. Sounds like our current recommended process worked well for this case, and there are good reasons to continue recommending it. Excellent. All right. So we'll move on from SIG-Node. One thing I didn't say at the beginning of the call, which I usually like to say, is we are a very informal group. If you have any questions about anything at all at any point, feel free to let us know. Just unmute, put your hand up, put it in the chat. We are happy to answer anything, talk about anything at any time. Cool. So let's move into our in progress section of our board. Our first item there is the SIG Architecture Spotlight articles, which we already discussed. Federico, is there anything additional you want to say about the SIG Architecture Spotlights?
No, already exactly what I've shared before.
Perfect. And you have already updated the issue with that one being completed. So you have a comment there that you don't need anymore. Says link to document only shared by me recently. Not true anymore.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's fine. But I thought that was funny. All right. Our next item in the in progress section is add a SIG API machinery spotlight. This one
Yes.
is assigned to you, Federico.
Yes, it's I've reminded them again this week about the list of questions. There's already answers there. I would say that at least half of it is already covered, but there are some questions which are empty. So I asked them for us to define a sort of deadline that we can work around to have a goal, even if we end up changing it. Obviously, this is not written in stone. So that's the status. It's ongoing, and there was already some progress, and I have no reason to assume that we won't have more progress in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Another example here of one that is moving slowly because sometimes it takes a while to get those questions answered. Thank you, Federico, for pushing this along.
Pleasure.
I added a comment in your issue there that the questions are slowly being answered and that you're setting a deadline to try and help things along. Next item is SIG Etsy D Spotlight article, which is also owned by you, Federico.
Yes, no movement in this one yet, apart from this. I already have the initial questions. Before sending them to the ETCD contacts, I was, as I mentioned last time, I was thinking of organizing this one possibly with one of the shadows as well. So
Right, you had
that's
mentioned that.
the status. Yes.
Cool. I guess write would work. You're planning to co-write this with a shadow?
Co-author, if you want to be fancy.
Co-author. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's more that needs to be implied there. There's a lot of management that goes into these. With a shadow. Thank you, Federico, for taking this on and using it as a training opportunity for your shadows. Awesome. I will add that comment. I hit the button. It might do that twice. All right. The next one is SIG Security, which we already heard the update on. I assume there are no other updates on that. Oh, gosh. Something that we have missed once again, help wanted posts. So for context, we used to do annual report. We still do annual reports. One element of the past annual reports has been help wanted for all of the SIGs. What projects are the SIGs working on and what specific skills or help do they need with those projects? Last couple of years, the annual report has been in a process of flux where it's trying to solidify how that annual report creation works. So we've kind of fallen off doing the help wanted social media posts to help spread the word about the help wanted. So we've been trying to find a new way to get the word out about help that SIGs need. So we were going to try to take the so the information in this document. So this document was used for the contributor summit in Paris, and SIG leads added information in column C about the help that they need, and they presented that live at the contributor summit. So we were hoping to use this spreadsheet to create posts to be posted about them. Sandapan, it looks like, has grabbed some of those. Actually, this might be an old one. This is from the annual report, actually. So there's another document that is the information from the lightning talks. This one. Here we go. SIG video link, bullet points. We have folks who volunteered to write the posts about these. Are these the recordings actually from, yeah, these are the recordings from NA 2023. So this is not the doc either. So we need to find the document. Looks like Sundapan put it in. Is this the right one? This is the old one. This is the 2023. We need to find the document from the contributor summit from Paris and try to create tweets from it. I think I'll try to find that document and share it in Slack and get a couple of those going myself, because we've really had trouble getting this project going and in a timely fashion. Arpit, go ahead. He posted in the chat. He has an idea about the Kate's fun facts. We could post them weekly on socials for a taste of fun. I like that idea.
So I am thinking like if I'm not wrong, there would be plenty of fun facts. So we can post each fun fact in a post in like in a little bit of a fun way on our socials, because we have the access for 2 Twitter accounts, one LinkedIn, one Mastodon. So we can do that weekly.
Yeah, we should add this to the notes, actually. This is one of those things that comes up that we should just add into the notes. I think it would be cool to ask for folks' input on this. We could create a spreadsheet or a doc of fun facts and ask folks in like SIG ContribEx or other channels. We could start with SIG ContribEx for fun facts about the project that we could post on social media. I bet we could get a bunch of folks contributing fun facts that we could post. Knowledge is distributed across the Kubernetes project.
Like we can run it as a mini series across the socials every week, like weekly. Like we do have a slight custom section in weekly magazines of
I like the idea.
some fun fact, trivia facts. We can do like that.
Arpit, if you would like to own this project,
I would like
think,
to.
yes, would appreciate that. So I think, yeah, you could set up a doc and then ask in SIG ContribEx for folks' contributions. Yeah. Sandeep asks in the chat, can we give a random example of a fun fact? The number of
I have
SIGs,
no
we could look
idea
that up.
of
That would
fun
be a
facts
fun fact.
regarding Kubernetes right now. Maybe someone who is like far more experienced has some fun facts.
Yeah, Arpit is fairly new to the project, so I think this would be a great way for you and other folks who are new to the project to learn things from some of the old guard.
Yeah, great way to introduce 2 new topics.
Yeah. Bob, I bet, could come up with some interesting ones. I feel like anything in the Kubernetes project that you're like, why do we do that? There's always a reason behind it. And a lot of those could probably be fun facts.
One can
Yeah.
be like we can compare Kubernetes budget to something.
Yeah, we can probably grab some from the budget. Just the number of SIGs would be a good one. the concept of sub-projects might actually be a fun one, because people don't know how the org works. The way the steering committee elections work might be a fun one. We have, 7 members of the steering committee, and 3 are up. It's every 2 years. So 1 year 3 will be up for election, and the next year 4 will be up for election, and it goes like that. Yeah, Dim and Tim Hawken would have a ton of fun facts. No, you're right. Tim Hawken, I think that's the way it's spelled too. Awesome. I love this project idea. Did you add that into notes, Tim, or shall I add it? I can add it in here.
What am I adding?
Just the idea of doing a fun facts social media project. I can add it in real quick. Good point for the note taker process. If I take on the board portion, I should just own it all the way through, I think. And if I ask a note taker to take it, then I will need to teach them how to do that. Learning things here. Social media fun facts series to be owned by Arpit. Could you also make a post, Arpit, in the comms Slack channel about that, so that the folks who aren't here in the meeting can hear about that cool idea? Yeah.
Yep, I will do that.
And Sandeep offers to help you with that. Yes, I think that would be cool. You can kind of, Arpit, if you can kind of like take him as a ride along and let him know when you're posting in Slack to ask folks for feedback, what you're gonna do
Actually, I
with
am
that.
thinking of copying the process for tweet one. Like,
Yeah,
I
perfect.
will set up a doc. I will set up a Google Sheets, and then we can actually accumulate all the fun facts over there, and then after that we can actually convert that the posts. Like if we want to put it on Twitter, we can customize it, and if we are going to put it on LinkedIn, we can make something like more elaborate for that.
Also make sure in the sheet that you have a section for who shared the fun fact, so that we can attribute
Yep.
it to them if they want it attributed. Attribution. Cool. So Sandeep will try to keep you informed with that process and get you tied into it where we can. And I will also help as like a, I don't know, assistant, advisor, I guess, on that project. Excellent. We only have 1 minute left. So I'm going to go back to the board real quick and see if there's anything else we want to go over. Establishing a process to prevent duplication LWKD articles. That is a Mario task, and he's out right now and hasn't been able to work on it. Automation, using the Zapier code tool to eliminate manual labor on YouTube when uploading SIG videos. That'll be a Chris issue. I don't think anyone here is working on that. Cool. So we'll get updates on that another time. This is also Zapier, which is also usually a Chris thing. Also a Mario thing. Neither of them are here. The sensitive communications process. So we're trying to collaborate with SIG Security to create a guide about how we do sensitive communications about things like CVEs in the project, or people passing away in the community. Sometimes we have to do communications about that. And there's a lot of things that are common with any kind of sensitive communication. So we're trying to work with SIG Security to create a guide. It's kind of on hold. Guidelines for sensitive and user impacting comms. Okay, so we have an issue and we have a thing in the board for that. These are the same thing. And blogging shadow guide. That's something that Frederico is working on. And we are a minute past time. It's amazing how fast the time can fly by, isn't it? Cool. So if you are looking for a SIG spotlight to do, there is one in the to-do column, SIG release.
Sorry,
Actually,
Catherine,
yes, please go ahead.
just a small comment on that shadowing thing.
Yes.
I actually have a link there to the draft version of it that's in my personal fork, and I will be sharing it in our Slack channel as well to get an initial review, comments, suggestions, and only after that will I open a PR against the main repository.
Awesome. Much appreciated. So we'll look forward to that draft being shared. If you are looking for a SIG spotlight to do, we did have an opening for SIG Kate's Infra, which is related to the budget one, but it could be also a separate thing. Also, any SIG that hasn't been done in the last 2 years is fair game for a SIG spotlight, and we have a list of what's been done. So if you would like to pick one up, we can give you the list of what's been done and where to find the ones that haven't, and you're welcome to pick one at random. Cool. So let us know on Slack if you need any help in the meantime, and we'll see you all next week. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I have time, so I'll hang out after if folks want to just talk.
I need to drop. So have a great weekend, everyone, and
Thanks for
we'll talk
joining.
in Slack. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. We're going to say goodbye to our friends on YouTube now. Bye, YouTube.